This is the Tempest Knives Microburst. This is the prototype. It comes from Tempest Knives. That's Casey, our good friend from the KnivesFAST channel. Well, this is his knife company, Tempest Knives. And this is the third knife that he's designed and the second knife that's going into production. The first being the Mach 51, a beautiful titanium frame lock, which went through the prototyping phase. And then he did the Tempest Knives Pinion, which I got after checking out the prototype, much like I'm checking out this prototype, and loved it so much I got on the pre-order for this. Awesome, awesome knife made by Kubi. Well, this is the third design using that same drop foot design, sort of a blend between a sheep's foot and a drop point blade. And in the case of this knife, the Microburst, it's done to great effect. It's a nice broad blade with a very high height flat grind, and it just plows through cardboard. That's the only thing I've used this for. I've only had this a couple of days, and I know it's got to move along to some other people who want to make reviews and check out this knife. But I do happen to have a room. This man cave here goes through, all sorts of different phases of messiness. A lot of boxes, because a lot of boxes coming in. And I always save them thinking I'm going to use them to send other stuff out, but I rarely do. So I use this to cut up the cardboard, and it was awesome. And actually, I like this as a work knife also, but brought this out with this one, and they both did really well. But this one I found especially good in the cardboard due to the shearing action of that tall blade. Just beautiful. To me, to be totally honest, this is a case of beauty following utility. I mean, it's a handsome knife, no doubt, but after I used it and just kind of felt it go through material and felt how easy it was to use, I really, the design grew on me even more. So I'm going to be getting on this pre-order, which is open. It is currently open. Now there are going to be some changes here to the Kubi made Microburst by Tempest Knives, and I'll start here. This is D2, and in my limited experience with it, it did great. But KC is veering towards or tending towards 14C 28N. He loves that. He mentioned that some people have mentioned that the thumb studs are a little rough, and so they're gonna knock those down a little bit. I didn't think that, though I did sometimes feel like it could move this way a little bit, but definitely not, doesn't have to. I think this is like, it works incredibly. Actually, it just flies open. It really rockets open, and well, you got the really nice action here. So other changes, accommodations for left-handed carry for the clip, chamfering on the lock bar where your thumb pushes on it, which does not exist here, and in my opinion does not need to exist here, and actually does not need to exist here either. He also said, in my opinion, or I didn't, it'll be nice, it's always nice, but and then he also mentioned that he's gonna open this up just a titch and give you a little bit more access to that lock bar, which to me is also unnecessary. But it's cool to see, KC himself is a knife collector, knife evaluator, reviewer, knife lover, collector type. Actually, I did a great podcast with him. You got to check that out. I'll link it in the description. But it's cool to see him making changes according to what the people want, give the people what they want, like the old Kinks album. Yeah, it's pretty sharp. I accidentally touched it. I didn't cut, but my hands are so dry. I like this choil here. It's interesting. It's more of a step, kind of a step than a choil. And what I mean by that, is like, this is what I think of as a choil. And you're saying, yeah, it's about the same thing. Yeah, I know. But for some reason, this feels different to me, and I like it. And also, it seems to give life to the rest of the blade. Like you could sharpen, because the plunge grind is way up here. Seems like you could keep sharpening up. I think that it's interesting. The geometry on these two knives are pretty different. This has the sort of geometry, I think, of like a 940. When I first got this and was in the honeymoon phase with it, I still love it dearly. But when I first got it, I was carrying it all the time, and I was saying this is what the 940 should have been. And I'm not a huge fan of the 940, so those were. But to me, this does that, but better. That blade, anyway. But here, I know it's just different. You just get this long, gradual, slender, very thin behind the edge blade. Really like it. Contoured micarta, very nice. Nice micarta. I think this will do what this did. This darkened up really nicely. I really like how this micarta darkened. I just like black micarta to look black, and it oftentimes does not do that. So I think this will do that too. Man, Kubi makes really excellent knives, and Casey is designing them really nicely too. You got nice, good jimping up there, and actually this is not a choil reliant design. You don't have to be in there for this to be comfortable. It's very comfortable back here in I'll call it a saber grip, or just a back here utility grip, or whatever. That jimping is very nice. The blade rises up slightly where that jimping is. The overall spine kind of comes up in a curve, and having that jimping right there, it's really nice. Your thumb does dig into that without it being too much. It's just a really nice in that saber grip, which was surprising just to look at. I thought maybe if you have big giant hands, you're going to want to naturally come up here, but for most earthlings, I think this will be very comfortable. This I love. First of all, he's got a cool logo, the Tempest, that swirling Tempest there, but I like the proprietary pivot. Looks like a hubcap of a sweet performance car. Kind of calls to mind his first design, the Mach 51, which sort of evoked the Mustang car and the Mustang plane. The P-51 Mustang, our air superiority fighter in World War II, the end of the war. Such a cool plane. And then the Mustang car, kind of both came together in that design. Beautiful design that thing was. And had a lot of the same sort of organic lines. Definitely did not have a drop foot blade, though. Had a spear blade with a sort of canopy opening system like this. Not system, but it was looked like canopy of an airplane. So Casey does really cool. I'm really excited for him. I think this is a really cool knife. I think it's a really, really useful EDC blade, but it's also got some style, and it's got a if you have a thing for cleavery knives, it'll touch that. But also if you like a point on your knives, which I do, this will do you in spades. That point, I did not use, but I think like this would be awesome for, for anything where you're doing this kind of cutting. But also, I always think of those really stubborn and nasty clamshell packages on tools and stuff like that, and how it could, if it doesn't sink in, it's so sturdy, those plastic bubbles, that it could just glance off. And I don't know. You need a nice sharp knife with a good point to open those up, and I think this would do the job while maintaining sort of an unthreatening look, non-threatening look. But you know, you could threaten with this. All right, that's let me just put this down here. Let me show it off with a couple of other designs. Of course, as I've shown a bunch here, there it is with the pinion. And here, let me show you for sake of size comparison. There it is with the Paramilitary 2. And there it is with the 3-inch knife. The Hogue RSK Mark 1 Mini. And yeah, there it is. I think it's a beautiful knife, and I think it's very useful. And like I said before, just seeing and experiencing how useful it is made the design look even prettier to me. I mean, that's a pretty blade. I didn't mention that swedge before. I am a bit of a swedge whore, and to me that is, that really is a nice looking blade. Great angle on the tip also. All right, thank you, Casey, for letting me check this out. I will be jumping on this pre-order. I would like one for my own. All right, thanks for watching.